Morning gardeners, Mr. Tom here, and today we're going to talk about planting leeks. All right, it's May 16th here in Michigan, Zone 6, and I think we are safely going to be out of frost for now. So leeks can actually go in a little bit before frost, but I just haven't quite gotten to it yet. So stick with us and we'll show you how to set up a bed and get your leeks in the ground for a good fall harvest. All right, I have prepared my soil in advance. So this is the third or fourth year in this bed and the soil is very soft. Leeks are going to be put in the ground very deeply, so the soil needs to be soft. Watch when I press this fork in. Okay, that fork went right in about 10 inches deep with no resistance at all. Right, so I have amended this soil, improved it. I've added compost to it and I've put a little bit of chicken manure on the top of it, and then I have raked it in. And that's going to give me a nice even soil fertility for the leeks. Now I have to get my leeks in a nice straight row because they're going to need a lot of weeding throughout the season. Straight isn't just so it looks good. Straight makes it much easier to weed. So I'm going to take a rope and I put a stake at the other end and a stake at this end, and I'm just going to use that rope as a nice straight edge to guide my dibbler. Okay, here's my dibbler box that I made. So I just took some 1-inch material and I put some sawed-off stakes on it. I use this for marking a lot of crops that I want on a 7-inch grid. I'm just going to set this right alongside the rope. I'm going to step on it and it's going to make my holes. Then I'm going to move down to the next location, line it up alongside the rope, step on it, and it will mark my holes. I'll do it one more time. All right, and this gives me nice straight rows, and my parts are nice and evenly spaced. Okay, here I have one of our leek seedlings, and you can see some roots are coming out the bottom a little bit. Leeks are in allium, they're in the onion family. All right, so you can shake all the roots right off them. You don't have to do this, but it's nice to get the roots out straight. Now the part of the leek that we eat is the bulb, but we want a nice long white stem to form on it, because that long white stem is the part that we eat in the bulb. If we don't plant our leeks deep enough, you will get a very short stem on them and you won't get a lot of leek to use in your soup. So these are going to go into the ground pretty deep. So we have our hole, but we're going to make our hole even deeper. And to do that, I made this rod. All right, this is just a dowel. I shaved the end a little bit and I drove it 5 inches deep through a block of wood. I'm going to plant my leeks 5 inches deep. This will be a stop. So when I put it on the hole, I'll start right down here. I just go down in the soil until the plywood hits. Then I'll do it again. I go down till the plywood hits. And then once you get going, because I've already marked the holes with the dibbler, this is pretty quick. You can see the rope is still there. Keep my rows nice and straight. All right, and there's my hole. Now I can take my leek seedling and kind of straighten out the roots. If you have some real long roots, you can tear a few off the end and trim them. We do the same with our onions, but you don't absolutely have to. Make sure you start at the end, and the leek is going to go down into the hole, and it's going to go in there deeper than you think it should. All right, and I just set it in there. I don't even backfill it. All right, I'm going to take another one, straighten out the roots, maybe just tear the end off a little bit. That helps the roots to branch and get going a little bit more. And I'm just going to set it down in there and pull it up and bring it down again. All right, I've got a whole tray of leeks here. And I'm going to do the same thing, just going right down the line. Oh, I got a big fat one here. I'm going to put that in. Very gently, bounce it until I get it down in there. That leek's a little bit smaller. I didn't bother to prune the roots on it. And whoop, that's a double. All right, spread that out and put them in. All right, and I will do this all the way down the line. Now these leeks are spaced out a little bit more than they really need to be, but I want to be able to get through here with my hoe and weed them. So that's why I've got some extra space. We're fortunate we have a bigger garden, but you can go a little bit closer if you need to on your leeks. Okay, so I've already planted maybe a dozen leeks, all right? And remember, this is the part that we want. We want a nice long bulb on here for our leeks. All right, so I put them down in the hole. I have not backfilled the hole. That way, when it rains, the water will run right down in there. It'll carry soil with it. The worst thing I could do right now would be bury this, because I don't want to get a lot of soil down into all of these little voids. All right, and so when I place it in, remember, don't backfill it. Just set it in there and make sure it's touching the bottom. All right, and then just proceed on to the next one. That's all you need to do. Now, for care of these leeks like a fair amount of water, but they need to have well-drained soil. They can't be underwater. We have sandy soil here. We're not gonna have any problem with drainage. All right, fertility-wise, midsummer, you could put a little bit more compost in the beds if you need to, but that's about all they need. They're not terribly heavy feeders. They're pretty easy to grow, but you've got to keep them moist. And they don't do well with a lot of weed competition, so that's why I want these rows nice and straight so that I can get in here and weed. So again, it's mid-May. By mid-June, these holes will probably all be closed in very well. All right, I've got enough room to get my small hoe in here and take the weeds out as I go. And then I just got to keep them going until harvest, and that's about it. And I'll probably harvest these probably in late August or early September. All right, there's a little bit on putting in leeks. They're excellent in soups. You can also chop them up and use them like a kind of mild onion. All right, go ahead, plant some leeks. All right, guys, so from the leek department here at Greenfire Gardens, okay, this is Mr. Tom. Happy gardening.